I'm going to call the Ashland Planning Board meeting to order on May 5th, 2021. I am waiting for one other person to come in. I'll admit her as soon as she's here. In the meantime, we'll take roll call. Andy Fitch,
Present.
Kathleen DeWolf,
Present.
and Mardine Badger, present also. As I said, I'll let Paula in when she logs in. Let's do the minutes first.
Okay, I had a couple corrections.
Good. Okay.
Okay, page 4. 5th bullet point down.
Okay.
Before a site plan proposal, these two properties owned by the applicant, because the bullet point before talks about the abutter. So we want to make it clear it's the two properties owned by the applicant.
No. Okay. Sure.
Okay,
Yes.
and then on page 5, let's see, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When Susan's name is mentioned, we should always identify her as land use assistant, I think.
Okay.
And if it says if the property owner wants to use lots together, he'll need to merge the lots. Susan McLeod, land use assistant, can provide the information for lot mergers.
Got it.
That was the only two things.
Okay. Got that.
So with that, I'll
Okay.
make a motion to accept the Wednesday, April 28th, 2021 minutes as amended.
I'll second.
Okay. Andy, did you have any corrections, changes?
No.
Okay. Okay. Roll call vote to approve the minutes. Andy
Aye.
and Kathleen
Aye.
and Mardine. Aye. Okay. Okay. I'm going to leave the reorganization until
Paula.
Paul is here. Yes. Okay, we are at the waiver of site plan review for HEG Energy North for 162 Main Street, replacing the food service area with a Sal's Pizza franchise. And let's see. Okay. I have several things that I can share as people are talking. I can put anything up on the screen. First, let's accept the application for the waiver of the site plan review.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, and all those in favor of accepting the application for the waiver of a site plan review, roll call vote. Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Kathleen DeWolf,
Aye.
and Mardine Badger, aye. Okay. Okay. Most of our discussion on this actually occurred at our last meeting. Is there anything, Mr. Green, that you would like to add or clarify, or do any of our members have any questions?
Madam Chairman, I do not have anything at this time.
Okay.
I have a question.
Mhm.
The prior businesses, at least the prior business, had 2 to 3 picnic tables in the little grassy area adjacent when you're facing the building on the left-hand side. Do you plan on utilizing picnic tables?
Wow, if you would allow it, that's a great idea. I didn't think of it, frankly, but if that's something that you would allow, that would be a really great idea.
Dunkin' Donuts has picnic tables and they're used quite a bit. And where this is kind of a grab and go, Are they gonna offer like pizza by the slice?
Yeah, so this is gonna be, the slice is enormous, though. It's 1/4 of a 19-inch pizza.
Okay,
So it's very, very
Okay.
large. In fact, when I get it, and I like pizza, I actually have to cut it in half. So it's like, it's just like having two regular slices. So it's pretty big.
so if you had outside seating during motorcycle week, and do you know what motorcycle week is in New Hampshire?
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
that
Yes.
this might enhance the business.
Yeah, June 12th to June 20th, right? Yep.
I don't know how soon you're gonna have this up and going, but even if it's not for this year, that it might enhance your business to have a few outside seating areas.
Thank you. No, it's a great idea.
I can show you on this diagram approximately where they were.
Yeah,
This diagram with the arrows I did for someone else. But the star on the diagram is where the pizza franchise would be. And the picnic tables that Kathleen was referring to were in this little island
Mhm.
between the parking right next to the end and behind. It was in this, along this little island here.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
glad, I'm
That's
glad you
where
have
they-
this picture because I didn't remember how many dedicated parking spaces had been lined out,
Okay.
indicated.
Yeah, there are quite a few on the front of the island and quite a few spaces along the back side.
I think there
Also.
were, I think there were 3 picnic tables with umbrellas. There could have been 4.
Something like that.
Mm.
Okay, great. No, that's awesome. That's a great idea. Thank you so much. That'll be helpful.
I thought I'd throw it out now because since you're here, instead of having to come back and
Okay.
somehow that came to your attention later.
Right, thank you.
Mr. Green, your refrigeration, where's the compressor gonna go? Is it built into the unit or is it going to be seen?
Yeah, I believe it's on top of the unit, but the contractor that was here last time is on the call. Chris, do you want to be specific about that?
Yes, they are built into the unit. Nothing is. They're built on the inside of the unit, I believe, with these ones.
Okay.
Okay, so there's nothing external on it then.
There's nothing external, correct?
Okay.
Thank you.
I did just as a review for us. Let's see. The pictures that I had last time. Okay. Just to review a little bit of pictures that I had last time. Shows the back of the building here. In our last discussion, there was mention of the curbing along here. And this at the far end closest to the car wash, the curbing curves out right about where this truck is parked. And then it comes in a little bit. And then as it comes to the right out of off the edge of this picture, it curves back out a little bit again. So you were talking about the refrigeration unit coming out, not interfering with the cars coming straight through.
That's exactly what I was trying to describe, but I'll tell you, having this picture, I should have thought of that. I will in the future, though. This is a great preparation. Thank you for doing that for me. Yeah, so
Okay,
it's not going to come further. You see the box that's sticking out now? It's not going
Yes.
to come much further out than that. I think we said 1 or 2 feet further than that. I think we talked
Right.
about. But this
Right.
used to be I think a drive-through or window.
yes, there
So,
was that old window there.
right. So that's going to be that whole side is going to be upgraded. It's going to be the same color. It's going to be nice and clean and finished. You see the damage that's on the roof there that on the other picture. That'll
Yeah.
be taken care of as well. So,
Okay. And then, so there's again, the picture that we had of the back, and the refrigeration unit is going to be in this area here. Okay. Again, a closer view of the back where the drive-through window was, that as you said, that's going to be gone, correct?
Yep.
Okay. And then the end of the building here, are those windows going to be gone also?
Yeah, so when I come up to, I'm not sure if it's your board or another board, we would have to talk about signage. So I told you, I made the promise that I wouldn't exceed the signage on the MID, but what we want to try to probably do is this is all going to be sided. The windows are going to be all, the two blue windows and that little white
Mhm,
payphone thing or something,
Counter.
whatever that is going to be all taken off. It's
Okay,
going to be all sided. The roof is going to be repaired. And what we want to do is put a Sal's logo sign, circular Sal's logo sign on that side of the building. But I
okay,
know that I'd have to have, obviously a permit and come in and talk to you about that after that. So,
yes, that will need that will need an extra permit.
Yeah, that
Okay.
used to be ice cream takeout windows.
okay, well,
Yes, yeah. And then I took this afternoon, I took a couple pictures of the front. Here's the front of the building, and this kind of pink square is the area that we're talking about, correct?
yes,
Yes, okay. And picture a little bit closer. And is the entrance going to stay the same with the sloped walkway?
yes.
Okay. 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 And I did, I wanted to check out, we were talking about, we made reference to Dunkin' Donuts. So I drove behind our Dunkin' Donuts when we were talking about the refrigeration unit. And so this is what Dunkin' Donuts has done with their refrigeration area.
I mean, they're really good at, not Dunkin' Donuts, but I mean, they're really good at contractors. I'm give my, my guy Chris a heads up there. I mean, a thumbs up. These guys are good at blending it too. So you could see how that really blends into the siding.
Yes,
So
yes.
that's definitely an option. I know Mr. Fitch was mentioning that, we want to make sure it's affordable for you too. And like I said, whatever you guys need us to do, we'll do. But as Chris was saying, look, I mean, this is going to have to be painted, more than obviously the siding's going to be, but to keep up the nice look that it has now. But that's just part of business. Either you're going to do it, you're going to spend the money now or later, right? So.
Okay. So that was just a review of the pictures. Okay. All right. Let's see.
It's Paula.
There she is. Hi, Paula.
Hello.
Hi, okay. We're just going over some of the pictures for the mobile station,
Okay.
a little bit there. Okay, so we need to, are there any other questions? Planning board members, preference on the refrigeration unit at the back.
When I
Is-
went to look at the property the other day, I went around back.
Mhm.
And my understanding was that the refrigeration unit would come out the back and go out as far as the curb. But what I couldn't figure out was how far out the refrigeration unit would come and if that would conflict the parking spaces out back.
Okay,
Would it
Paula,
infringe on any of that?
it should not. Let me pull up a couple of the images again, Paula, and I think that will help. Oh dear. I think I just, let's see. No, that's not it. Okay. Okay. Oh, I think I closed. Let's see. Okay. Let me share this one first, Paula.
Okay.
Okay, this is an image. This is an overhead view. And the back, here's the back of the building. And The refrigeration unit is going to be about where my cursor is right now. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
that's not going to interfere with these parking spaces back here. There's still plenty of drive-through space here. And in fact, the
Okay.
curb, there's a curb behind the building, and the curb comes along here. So the refrigeration unit will be a little bit beyond the curb, but the curb juts out at this end and at this end, so that the cars are not going to be driving right down close to the building here. They're going to come
Oh,
straight
okay.
through. So it will not interfere with that parking back there.
okay, that's fine, that's fine. I
Mhm.
thought that might be the case, but I just thought I would ask for
Yes,
clarification.
okay,
Okay,
that's good. And I think, okay. Okay, Paula, Kathleen, and Andy, preference on the look of the refrigeration unit behind the building.
If it's modular, and that seems to be what Mr. Green is leaning towards, as long as it matches the back of the building, with, if you continue the, looks like vinyl siding, so it's this, a seamless, it doesn't look like it was just plunked on the back as an afterthought. I'm okay with the modular unit as long as it matches the rest of the building facade.
I would like the, I don't have a concern as to whether it has the siding on it, but I think it would be advantageous if the color blended in.
Yeah, okay.
In whatever,
Or if it
Um,
looked, or if it looked like Dunkin', well, it looked like some of the siding was, well, no, the siding's damaged, but that's where the unit's gonna go. So,
yeah.
it doesn't
Mhm.
make a difference. If
Yeah.
it looks like Dunkin' Donuts, I'm agreeable to that.
Andy, preferences?
Yeah, blended, that's all I ask.
Yeah. Mhm.
and I would say the same thing.
In
I-
some way blended in with the back of the
I'd
building.
like it, I'd
Yeah.
like it to
Yeah.
blend in.
Rather than us specifying exactly how you do that. I think that's,
Yeah,
That is
I would-
harmonious. Or we'll say,
I-
we don't like how it looks.
I think we can make that happen
Okay.
with no
Okay.
problem.
All right.
Okay, yeah. And obviously any, I noticed you've started pulling out some of the old stuff today. I noticed that, and you
Yeah,
probably have a
yeah,
lot of work.
Just cosmetic stuff inside. We will be pulling all necessary permits as soon as possible. We're just getting rid of a lot of the merchandise from inside and just stuff that's all cosmetic. So
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Nothing-
rid of some,
nothing-
we got rid of some shelving, but we have to pull a demolition permit, so we know that. So we can't really dig into it till you guys have authorized this, and then we'll pull the permits tomorrow.
Right, right. And the person you need to speak with, our building inspector, code enforcement officer, his name is Scott Vien, SCOTTVIEN. He's at the town hall. This week, he'll be there tomorrow morning, I believe from 8 to 12. Beginning next week, he will be there one day a week, Thursday, all day, 8 to 4. So tomorrow it's 8 to 12, and then beginning next Thursday, it will be 8 to 4 every Thursday. Also, his email address is on the town website under building inspector.
Thank you.
You can also contact him that way and kind of give him a heads up, and he'll be ready for you. I believe all the permit forms are also on the website. And the fee list, I believe, is there. But with any questions, just email him or call him at the town office.
Thank you.
Well, I have one suggestion to that.
Yes, Yes,
The voicemail dilemma still hasn't been solved. So if you try to leave a voicemail for him, he won't be able to retrieve it. So
right.
if you have to
So
talk
just-
to a person, make sure they take the message. Otherwise, email.
Or just
will work
email,
much
just
better.
email him. Email works the best.
Yeah, they get a little
Perfect.
nervous when I ask anything about the planning and the planning board stuff. They say, no, you gotta talk to Susan. And she, as I said last time, Susan's been great. She's been really helpful. And I know that with COVID and everything, things are kind of a little hectic, so, but I get the
Mhm.
answers I need quickly, so I appreciate that.
Okay, okay. Yes. Yeah, so you'll probably need a variety of permits. He'll also handle the sign permit for you too,
Oh, great, thank you.
when you get to that point. And I think last meeting we did mention a revised as-built plan of the building afterwards.
Yes, I have that. Yep.
Yes, okay. Okay, so at this point, if we are ready to approve this, I would accept a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion to accept the, let's see, how do we want to word this? HEG Energy North Incorporated / Sal's Pizza, 162 Main Street. Do we want the the tax map number added to that?
We
Or
can,
just the
we
address?
don't need that, don't need
Okay.
that. Yeah.
As presented in this site plan waiver with a as-built document at the conclusion of the renovation.
I'll second that.
And I'll add what we just talked about, the blending the addition in with the back of the building,
Okay.
as far as the look of it. And obviously, all the permits appropriate.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
Roll call vote, Andy Fitch,
Aye.
Kathleen DeWolf,
Aye.
Paula Hancock,
Aye.
and Martine Badger, aye. You are all set to go. We'll get this information right away to Scott Bien so that he knows you'll be coming in. And I think you're ready to go.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the planning board. I really appreciate all the work, and anytime you want to come by, we'll serve you some pizza, nice hot pizza. So thank you very much. Take care. See you. soon.
Okay,
And I'm
And I
gonna
just-
come back from Venice now.
okay.
Thanks for
All
teaching
right.
me
Well,
that.
but you could walk there now for a slice of pizza.
Yes.
Yes, you could.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back to the item that we skipped, the reorganization of the planning board officers. We need.
I'll make a
chair.
motion to nominate Mardine Badger to be the chair of the planning board.
Thanks.
That was pretty sneaky. I'll second it.
All those in favor, roll call, Kathleen DeWolf,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Paula,
Aye.
and I'll say aye too. Okay.
Andy,
We need a vice chair.
I'll nominate Kathleen.
a choice is a few.
I'll second that. And roll call, Paula,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Kathleen,
Aye.
and Mardine, aye. Okay.
I will nominate Paula to be secretary.
I'll second that. Roll call vote again. Andy,
Aye.
Kathleen,
Aye.
Mardine, I, and Paula.
Aye.
Okay.
There, done.
And just to clarify a little bit for the public, Paula wears two secretary hats, and they are different. She does the minutes for the meeting as the recording secretary. The secretary position we just appointed is secretary for the board, and generally about all that entails often is the second signature on plans. Most everything else we handle between us and with Susan also. Okay.
No, I'm glad you pointed that out because I didn't realize that for quite a few years,
Yeah.
that was their duty, part of
Mhm.
their duty, that was the second signature on everything that has to go to the registry of deeds.
Right. Okay. Now I've got, let me just close a couple things here, get them out of the way. Yeah, that is good. Okay. The other thing I had was trying to finish up the application for the earth excavation regulations. And let's see, we did most of it a little while ago, and let me get the right one here. There it is. Okay. Okay, which one do you see on the screen? The checklist or the application?
The application.
Okay, good. Thought I hit the wrong one. Okay. We had done most of this a while ago. And there were a few changes that we talked about it. So I pulled out the old one, our last draft. What we added from the last time we looked at the draft was new operation, renewal license, or expansion. I put those up in that top box at this point.
Okay.
Then, yeah. Let's see. I don't think there were many changes here.
On page 1, I just had one other suggestion.
Yes.
For where it says property zone, maybe you should say check all that apply, because it can be PEMI overlay and industrial.
True.
or SWAM overlay.
Oh, that's
and village
right.
It's
Residential.
true.
Yes, thank you. Okay, we'll make that change.
Yes,
Okay,
good point.
and trying to see.
Did you catch anything else, Susan?
No, I looked at it this afternoon, and it because I think when we first started this, we kind of pulled things out of the regulations themselves and modeled it
Mhm.
after at least 2 other towns' applications to kind of mash it all together to try to get the best format. So
Yeah, and at the same
I think
time,
we have
a lot of
everything.
this format is very similar to our standard site plan review application. I did add the 21 calendar days. I did add that word in there. I added, oh, the underlining doesn't look right. Under the description of who to list for abutters, we had underlined names and addresses of all abutters and any professionals consulted. In addition to the applicant, agent, and property owner should all be on there too.
Would there be any other interested parties it being an excavation, who should be,
Not
should
for
be
the
listed?
formal, not for the formal application.
Okay,
And I just did a little rearranging, and here we did decide $10 per certified notice. I just rearranged the lines to fit abutters, property owner, applicant, agent, and professionals. Make sure all of those are counted. And that was really all that we changed from the last draft. It is important to note, we can revise applications at any time we feel necessary.
Yeah, we don't have to go
So-
through a warrant, correct?
No, it doesn't have to go through a warrant, doesn't have to go through a public hearing. It just has to support the particular regulations that it's referring to. So I would, at this point, like to get this application approved so that we can get it on file, get it up on the website, so that we're all set.
With that said, I'll make a motion to accept the application, the revised application for site plan review for the commercial earth excavations.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any other questions, changes? I will make that change on the first page to check all that apply.
Bye.
Okay, roll call vote. Andy,
Aye.
Kathleen,
Aye.
Paula,
aye.
and Mardine, aye. Passed. Okay. That's probably the easy one. The other one is, let me get the other one up. Okay. Just a minute here. The other one is the checklist. I know Andy's got some comments on that. Okay. The checklist comes from the part of the regulations that list all the things that have to be in the application. And let me see if I can pull that up also. Come down to just a minute here. Okay, I'm going to see if I can share two things at once, and I think I can. Okay.
Oh, my Dean, wow.
Oh,
Wow,
First time I've done that one.
I'm impressed. I wouldn't know how to do that.
It's,
Okay.
okay. So, Andy, can you mentioned a few things earlier. Can you explain some of the, I know you had some issues with this.
Yeah, okay. My first issue is page 1.
Okay.
We're under application submission items.
Mhm.
The second one up, it says 1 application and 1 site plan to be submitted to the Conservation Commission. Do they have their own site plan, or is this a copy of the
It's,
site
it-
plan?
it's a copy of what they submit to us.
Yeah,
Okay, we should specify that in there.
Okay, okay. I can change the wording a little bit there.
so you're not that it can be a photocopy, it doesn't have to be a
Original.
original, okay.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
So I can put in something, copy of the application and the site plan, but that does need to be the large size for the Conservation Commission. I can clarify that in there. Thanks, Andy. Other things.
Okay, bottom of page number 2. Very last item,
Yes.
plans for equipment maintenance.
Mhm.
You know, most of the stuff's going to get repaired right on site.
Yeah,
Right.
You don't pull it away. What are you asking for?
that would be part of the alteration of terrain permit.
What precautions they take when they're repairing equipment, what precautions they take
Mhm.
with spillage of hazardous substances.
Okay,
that
well,
type
you've
of
already
thing.
got that in here.
Okay, now that comes from, okay, that comes from our
Number 2,
regulations.
yep,
I've got the page right here.
yep.
I would, trying to think if I've got the RSA with me. Oh. That may come, and I can check on that. That may come from the RSA, but
You know, what you can have in place, the pads to absorb any oil or fluids. That's the one that comes to mind.
okay, what's our RSA number? I've got to look that up. It's 155E. But I can check on that.
Okay,
And I
if you get right
Oh.
down to it,
Mhm.
R pretty much covers it on same page. 3 items up.
Okay, I see where you
All
are.
measures to
Okay.
control erosion, sedimentation, water pollution, air pollution, and any hazards to public safety. And B, just above the plans for equipment maintenance, plans for stormwater management. I mean,
Mhm.
that would fall under R too. In my opinion.
Well,
Okay.
sometimes you have to spell it out because they won't.
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes you
And
have to.
again, I
yeah.
think there's somewhere in writing that what is acceptable to meet this criteria is what is attached to the AOT from DES.
Mhm.
They're going to require the same exact things.
Yeah.
So when they submit the alteration of terrain plan, this stuff will be included in it. And you can, and so the checklist would just cover what will be in the AOT.
Okay, and we do have a statement at the beginning under the application section where an NHDES alteration of terrain permit is required. The applicant may submit a copy of that alteration of terrain application and our permit to the planning board. While the
Yeah.
alteration of terrain contains most of the following, the applicant should provide supplemental items to meet the list.
Yeah, I remember reading that.
Yeah. And let me see if I can find.
You know, I
Now, we
believe
took a
too
lot
that
of things. Go
any-
ahead, Susan.
any disturbance of over 2 acres of land requires a stormwater management plan. That's a DES requirement now. So just even to mention the stormwater management is just being proactive, that it has to be included in all of this.
Yeah, it's a checklist, and they can use this checklist for the alteration of terrain and vice versa.
And what they could do from back on the first page. Again, this comes from our regulations. For any item on the checklist not provided, they can provide one of two ways: a written request for a waiver or written explanation to why it's not included. And what they could say on that, if some of these things are in the alteration of terrain permit, they would just check all these things that are in that.
Correct, and say, see
Um,
attached.
yeah. Now, some of these things we took from the RSA, a lot of it, some of this detailed list that's in our regulations, we also looked at a lot of other towns' regulations and worked with and pulled several things.
And it was
Um,
vetted by two different attorneys.
That's also correct.
That doesn't impress me a bit. Listen,
Because they disagreed on
Yeah,
a few
that's,
things.
Yeah,
That's
there was some disagreement, yeah.
oh, yes.
you know, if you look at R and then go to the next page and look at F, they're both basically saying the same thing. There's a lot of redundancy here is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I see it.
I see it, but I don't have an issue with that. These are big projects that have a lot of impacts. And if you have to repeat yourself twice,
I can tell you what I'd do with this application.
Andy, you just
I
fill
wouldn't
it
do it.
out to the best of your ability.
You know, and then you come to reclamation. You know, you just don't know. You don't know what you're going to run into. You might dig down 2 feet and hit water. You
Yeah.
might dig down 300 feet and not hit a drop. How are you supposed to come up with a reclamation plan if you don't know what is there?
Can
And I understand that's a DES policy.
Yes.
Yes.
I just really have some heartburn with that.
Well, part of it is to base a bond on it so that you have money for reclamation. And number two, you talked about digging here. There are two types of excavation that can be approved, like the one in Center Harbor. They are taking, like this one seems to be maybe doing, would be to be blasting into ledge and taking down a hillside. If you start digging down, you become a pit. That is a whole separate, it's a whole separate thing to approve or not approve.
This isn't just scraping off the top of the soil a couple of feet.
Well, you think of quarries when you think of like the good old swimming holes that they fill with water and people, you know, push their
Yeah.
abandoned cars into or something. Again, this is part of the determination of the approval of the excavation process. Is it all above ground, or are they going to start digging to make it below ground level? Where you determine where ground level is, which would be where their entranceway is and where they park their trucks and whatever else. And certainly Center Harbor defined that excavation as taking materials above ground, and anytime they were going to go below ground and start with pits, they'd have to come back to the planning board and start over again as a separate, different kind of excavation.
Yeah, this isn't a renewable resource like a timber harvest. Once the stuff is removed, it isn't going to replace naturally.
Right, so part of the reclamation could be that if they end up leveling everything off and getting rid of ledge, then the reclamation it might be a more level, buildable plot of land.
Mhm.
But then in that case, you have to say, well, what else do they have to do? Do they have to revegetate? Do they have, you know, what are things that are involved? So part of it is again, based on how much you want to set aside for a bond for a reclamation process. And not determine the details until you get there. And that could evolve with each time a permit has to be renewed as to the inspection of the excavation itself to know where it's going and what it's going to look like and what's going to be left behind. Again, Center Harbor inspects yearly and they use drones to do it so that they have photographs of the progress that's made from year to year to year.
So how often do these things have to be resubmitted?
5
It's
years.
just 5 years.
5 years, and that's based on the state again.
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that anywhere in any of this.
It is in here somewhere in the regulations.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I mean, I didn't see it on the
Yeah. Oh.
application itself.
On the application. No, it does not say that. You're right.
I wonder if it should.
Well, let's see. If we were to approve an application and grant a permit, obviously part of the notice and the approval would indicate the term of that permit, be the 5 years. At the top of the application, we did just add the
renewal, yeah.
the new operation renewal license. But yeah, it does not say the length of the license anywhere.
Is it
So
on
let
the,
me ask you a question.
Mhm.
Farmer Brown wants to put a road in on his property and he's got a place he can dig it out. Does he have to go through all of this?
no, that's incidental.
That's
Okay.
incidental. This is again, this is commercial use, that if you start taking the materials out and selling it on the commercial market for more than a set amount of yardage, then that falls into a different category.
Okay,
The one that exists right now in Ashland is always just under the amount that is required for any of going through any of this process. Other than he too has to meet the state standards for operation and best practices. But he doesn't have to go through this whole full process because of the size of the operation.
On page 4 of our regulations, there are types of excavations that are exempt from a permit. Number 2, less than 1,000 cubic yards for alteration of a building or structure, parking lot or driveway. Excavation that's incidental to agricultural activities, normal landscaping. So there are exemptions in there from the permit process.
okay. Someday I'll get through all of this.
It,
It's not easy reading.
no, and it wasn't easy putting together either. Considering we had
Gosh, we worked on this for how many months?
off and on for
Off and on for what, a good 6 months, maybe?
probably, yeah.
Yeah,
And what we had originally was back from, was it 70s or 80s?
81, I believe
80,
it was.
Yeah,
Typewritten.
Yep.
this checklist we put together just so it conforms to the list that's in our regulations. We do have,
It's an aid.
yeah, and obviously we do have the ability to waive some of these. The applicant has the ability to say, I would like something waived, or this is why it's not applicable. So we do have some flexibility in the final process and final approval. But this just gives us a way to, rather than have the full regulations in front of us at the time we accept the application, just gives us a way to do a quick check to see what's included and what is not. And then we go from there with the discussion.
And the building inspector, if he makes an inspection, can use this as a guide.
So the building inspector is expected to investigate these pits?
I think that would be,
Let me,
I think that would be our intent.
let me
Whether
just
it
take a
has
look.
happened in the past, I don't know.
It's number 5 on the next page coming up.
Right there.
Inspection.
Planning board
Yeah,
Planning board may establish a schedule by which all permitted sites are inspected on an annual basis. Incidental excavation exceptions that will remove more than 1,000 cubic yards will have an inspection schedule that's determined by the planning board. We have the authority to set up a schedule.
Okay.
And I would assume we would also determine who does the inspection. Under inspections, the planning board or its designee may make periodic inspections.
Andy, this is probably one of the ordinances that are very, very dense. That the state.
No, I'm the one that's dense.
No, no, you're not.
No, you're not, no.
No.
Compared to some other permits that DES has oversight of, excavation permits have a lot of parts to it. And it is quite daunting to read through all of them. Like I said, because it's not a renewable resource, what is taken away, you can't, it naturally will not replenish. So somewhere during the years, the state decided to really put into place, as you can see, many sections of oversight of this operation. And I'm sure in the past, there was some in areas in the state where people, I hate the word, really left a scar on the land that that has ramifications. So the state felt they needed to really codify how these operations are the oversight of it, and how they're being, whoever is doing it has to follow these guidelines.
Yeah, one of the worst cases was up in Campton. It's now called Owl's Nest Golf Club.
Yes.
Well, they just got a permit from DES to fill their man-made pond.
Yep.
Water from the Pemmy. So
Hmm.
I guess we just better hope we get plenty of rainfall during the year, because my understanding is that was for a one-time only permit, so.
That's low enough that the river, once they get it filled, the river might find its way in.
Yeah, they've got
Okay.
plans for quite a resort up there.
Yep.
Okay.
Or an expansion of the,
Again, at this point, I would like us to approve this so that we've got something in place. I do understand the issues that you have, Andy. I do know some of it seems repetitious or overly detailed maybe, but
Andy knows the reason.
he does, and I wish.
Now he'll know how to access this resource and who to speak to.
But I wish you had been with us when we were putting this whole thing together. would have been really helpful.
Yeah, no, we did. We struggled with some of these things.
Well, I can understand it.
Mhm.
I'm struggling with it.
Well,
But
I just
again,
have one other thing to say
go
as
ahead.
well. It's like with operations that are this large and this long-term and impactful to any town, if you can't get somebody who can at least read 4 pages and do check marks, then I have a problem with dealing with people. That if they're going to handle something of that magnitude that it impacts the town, they should at least have somebody who can fill out a form.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept the commercial earth excavation application submission checklist with the, did we make it? Yes, with the
did.
amendment.
On the first page with, to clarify,
With the word
that-
clarified with the word copy.
copy of the application for the Conservation Commission. Okay. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Okay, roll call vote. Kathleen,
Aye.
Paula,
Aye.
Andy,
We can always
Aye.
adjust this
Aye.
if we need to.
okay. And I'll say aye also. Okay, so it does pass. And one thing, Andy, and for anyone else, the regulations that we adopted do not have to go to a town meeting vote. We did hold a public hearing on them. They can be revised as we feel they need to be revised. The applications and any of the paperwork that goes with the process can also be revised at any time that we feel necessary. I was just concerned that we did not have anything officially in place at this time. And that was my concern. So that gives us something to start with.
I don't think we're gonna get any, with the exception of down by Burger King. I don't see any pits coming into town.
Well, that's kind of what we thought back when we first started on this, and
Mhm.
yes, and then we realized that that things do change.
Yeah.
But we had started on this before that application came in front of us.
Yes, we did. Yes. Okay.
Oh, put that baby to bed, and thank you, Caitlin.
For the
for
moment, yes,
starting
Caitlin got
on
us
the
started on it.
path.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of information to collate.
Okay. That's all the regular business I have for tonight. Any other business that needs to be brought up?
I see that Liz Peoples checked out. She was on the line at first
Yes, she was.
because there was an email in our
Yeah, I
box.
saw that.
I guess I will answer it tomorrow.
Yes,
But again, it was
from a
question about
realtor.
change of use.
It was from a realtor about some classification for her property.
Right. Now, to be clear too, it's zoned commercial. Its
It is
use is
zoned commercial.
residential, but it's not residential/commercial zone.
No,
Oh, it is in the commercial zone.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm, yeah. And we have received, I haven't seen the application yet. I did see the site plan. We've received an application and site plan for 14 Winter Street, Commerce Properties, for
Okay.
the additional units at the back end on the properties that they added, purchased from the town and added. So that probably, Susan, would be scheduled for our first June meeting. With that, June 2nd, I think there's time.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll look at the calendar count backwards, but we certainly have plenty of time for the proper
Mhm.
notifications. And he's assuming it will be the first meeting in June, so.
And I think our deadline for submitting for the June 2nd meeting was a date of sometime next week.
Right.
So I think I think the written application is in the office upstairs, and
And
Tony
Tony
Randall
sent
sent
the-
the site plan by email today.
Right.
So we'll put all that packet together. One question I do want to ask about that. Would that be an appropriate project? And would it be useful for us to do a site walk of that lot, particularly down at the back end? Where these new units would go?
Would like that. This is fairly new. We have, I don't think any of us have had any experience in this type of application.
And although you did it with this previous one to each kind of check out the actual location
Individually.
individually, I think municipal association actually doesn't recommend that.
They don't? Okay.
No, to be clear, to be forthright with the property owner, first of all,
Mhm.
and that you all experience the same thing and ask the same questions and are witness to the, looking at the property as a board is, and when you're all there, you actually take minutes.
Mhm.
Might be more helpful than each and every one driving slowly down Winter Street and trying to have a look.
And
So-
trying to look down at the far end of the property, which is not,
Yeah, and that's what it is to me. It's like, it doesn't look as big as it looked like on the site plan. And am I not looking at the right place? Is it where this swing set's set up now? Does anybody else know?
I think it's further than, it's further down
Yeah,
than that.
Okay.
it's past that, so there is quite a
Yeah.
bit of property, and
Okay.
I'm not sure where the
Mhm.
slope starts. I mean, you have to be actually walking there to actually see that.
Mhm.
So,
Susan, could you contact probably Mr. Volpe first?
yes, and if he
to
wants to
set up-
arrange whether Tony or somebody else is also on the sidewalk, but
Right,
I
right.
would suggest that it would be a good idea either previous to or as soon as you accept the application that you plan a site, because that has to be posted because it's a meeting.
Mhm.
Right,
Correct.
right. Could we do the site walk? Just as an example, could we do the site walk on June 2nd, earlier in the day, even before we accept the application?
Yes, we've done that before. We did that with the septage receiving station. We had a walk prior to the meeting
Mhm.
itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And we haven't done site walks formally in a while, but
Right.
you can certainly do it just before the meeting, so you have a clearer vision of what the property actually looks like, other than the map that's in front of you.
Mhm. Yeah. So Susan, could you see if you could set up something? See when they
Sure.
might be available and set up a date and time? And then if they've got a couple dates possible, then let us know, and if there's any, to see if there's any conflict with any of us also, as far as date and time.
Okay.
Okay, that's all I have tonight.
Marty, and I want to thank you for those photos you took of Mobo. They were very helpful.
I think we needed that. Yes. Okay,
Okay.
if nothing else, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.